A truly Indian superhero film no one gave a duck about, a legendary comedy with two superstars that took more than 3 years to make, a modern day classic that I was not allowed to watch because of all the kissing scenes. This is part 3 of box office failures that became cult classics, and number 1 on that list is Andaz Apna Apna. If any producer wants to cast 2 stars in the same film today, it seems like an impossible dream for most studios except a few like Yash Raj who have the firepower and unlimited budgets to pull it off. But 30 years ago, when the world was a much simpler place, Amir and Salman decided to drop most of their egos and joined forces to star in the most nonsensical, illogical, irreverent slapstick comedy of all time, and I mean this in the best way possible. For a Gen Z audience who probably knows of this movie only through all of its timeless, countless memes like Main Teja Hu, Maar Kidhar Hai, Omelette Ka Raja or Crime Master Go-Go, the tone of comedy and especially the intentional overacting may not work for them, but for the generation of my elder brothers and sisters, this film was their Bible. And to this day, they can recite every reference, joke, or the entire movie line by line like a religious devotee. Clever dialogues, unforgettable characters, actors who refuse to take themselves seriously for once, and clean humor devoid of any racist, sexist connotations or even any kind of double meaning. Maybe because the film was stuck in production for more than 3 years because of scheduling conflicts, star egos, and maybe the audience wasn't ready for such a full-blown comedy with self-deprecating characters. Andaz Apna Apna failed initially at the box office, but is the prime example of an infinitely rewatchable Bollywood cult classic today in an industry that's almost forgotten how to make comedy films. And if you're into cult classics, maybe you like this cult classic hoodie and a lot more cinema inspired t-shirts and accessories only on our online store fullyfilmy.in. And now, number 2, Jaane Bhi Do Yaro. As confessed in many of his interviews, while shooting for the film, even Naseeruddin Shah himself didn't get the humor that director Kundan Shah was trying to create, and in its initial release, even the audience felt that way. But after he watched the final print, he realized what Kundan was trying to make, and also that the film is going to be way ahead of its time, which is true even today. In disguise of a comedy, Jaane Bhi Do Yaro is one of the greatest satires that explores the aspect of corruption in every part of India's system and society. And while it's doubtful if such a film could even be made today, it's yet another supremely rewatchable film featuring one of the most hilarious, legendary climaxes of Indian cinema set in a stage play of the Mahabharata that'll make you wonder how comedy in Bollywood went from that to this. Bhavesh Joshi Superhero. While there may be a younger audience for big-scale superhero movies like the Krish franchise, the superhero genre in India itself is filled with poor copies of Hollywood films. In my humble opinion, there are just 2 films that manage to create original, organic, rooted and truly Indian superhero stories. One is the super successful Netflix film from the Malayalam industry, Minnal Murli, and the other is the not so successful Bhavesh Joshi Superhero, the flawed masterpiece by probably our most versatile filmmaker today, Vikramaditya Motwane. Yes, the film isn't perfect, the main character and the second half have their issues, and the climax is a downer, but the rest of it, the genesis of a superhero symbol from 2 friends starting a vigilante YouTube channel, is so relatable and relevant, especially after 5 years since its release. Maybe it's just me, but during my school time, after trying to deal with the poor condition of this road which was next to our school, as immature as it might seem, my friends and I wanted to start our own vigilante club, exposing the crimes of the local municipality and the system itself. And while we never did that, it was so validating to see that failed dream come alive as a film built around yet another relevant issue of the water crisis in Mumbai. For its intention to blend the superhero genre and politics, creating a superhero character who stops at a red signal even during a chase at midnight. Its super stylish yet grounded execution of action, the overall gritty tone, and how every single frame bursts with so much innocence and honesty, Bhavesh Joshi Superhero is a modern day cult film that I'll always be proud of, but also always be heartbroken about how we failed to support it. Kabhi Haan Kabhi Na. In 2023 alone, after returning from a hiatus, Shah Rukh Khan is at a new peak of his stardom, working with the biggest directors, playing raw agents, superheroes, vigilante killers and more. But 30 years ago, before he was a superstar, he played the role of a young loser in a film that didn't really have much of a plot itself. Sunil, a boy refusing to become an adult, constantly failing in his exams and just obsessed with his music and his crush Anna is easily the most charming and relatable character that Shah Rukh has ever played in the most misunderstood rom-com of Bollywood, where, spoiler alert, the boy doesn't even get the girl in the end, which is probably why the audience of that time didn't wholeheartedly give the film its due love. It's a film that one can watch any number of times because of its calm, chilled out vibe in a pre-Dil Chahta Hai Goa setting, low stakes story without a single negative character, legendary music, and of course, this Shah Rukh playing a super flawed, unserious, completely against the hero image kind of character that the world knows him by today. Right from the opening sequence of him riding a motorcycle singing his heart out while going to pick up Anna from the railway station to the end credits, it's a classic Hindi feel-good film through and through. Manorama 6 Feet Under. Nepotism is an issue that plagues every professional field, including the film industry, where access and multiple opportunities are given to those born into a film family, while star kids can't choose the family that they're born into. Every decade has a few handful of them who accept their privilege but decide to work on their craft and carve a niche for themselves, and a shining example of this is Abhay Deol, an actor who tried his best to shed his legacy and literally created a subgenre for himself, taking on projects that no actor was doing at the time. The neo-noir murder mystery Manorama 6 Feet Under, which is such an underrated gem that's streaming on YouTube for free, and I'd recommend all of you to sit down, grab some snacks and drinks, and just enjoy the slow burn, atmospheric nature of it. Every time I think of Ayushman's film choices, I almost always think whether Ayushman would have made it if it wasn't for what Abhay Deol did in the past. An actor who, despite his family legacy and his unique film choices, got sidelined by the same industry he was trying to lift up. The next two films have a lot of similarities between them. Maqbool and Omkara, both directed by the master storyteller Vishal Bhardwaj. While most of our popular filmmakers used to just pick up a DVD and just copy paste it into an unofficial Hindi remake, this man has painstakingly just taken the skeleton of Shakespeare's work, the core emotions of greed or lust or jealousy, and with his mastery adds flesh and blood with multi-dimensional grey characters in an intricate screenplay, spectacular dialogues, and timeless music in a way that will make Shakespeare wake up from his grave and say, "Well done, bench." While both have fantastic performances by every single member of the cast, Omkara especially shocked us by presenting Saif Ali Khan in a way that we've never seen him before, hitting it out of the stadium as the cunning and scheming Langda Tyagi. And of course, both films didn't work at the box office when they initially released, but slowly built a cult following over the years. And finally, Hey Ram. I was 9 years old when Hey Ram came out, and as kids, we were not allowed anywhere near the film because of all the kissing and ass-biting scenes, and maybe a majority of our audience thought that this is what the film is about, which is why they may have refused to watch it. Those who actually did watch it may have found it overlong, too complicated, too dark, or intellectual, and I can't say that the film would have been appreciated if it had released today, because honestly, this is a film that would have been boycotted left, right, and center. Kamal Haasan's films being way ahead of their time or being misunderstood is a whole different list altogether, but right at the top, we would find a film like Hey Ram, a huge, ambitious masterpiece written and directed by the legend himself that talks about friendship, freedom, religion, identity, post-traumatic stress disorder, and each time you sit down to watch it, it reveals yet another layer. Even if it had Shah Rukh Khan sharing screen space with Kamal Haasan, a haunting album by Ilaiyaraaja, won 3 national awards, and even touted as one of the most expensive films of that time, if there were protests against the release of the film 23 years ago, there's no way in hell that it would be accepted today. And that was part 3 of box office failures that became cult classics. I'm going to link part 1 and part 2 right here. You can find it. Don't forget to check out fullyfilmy.in, our online store. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.